Hey everyone, it's Desiree, and I am here with Spellbinders, and I just had to pull out my Glimmer Hot Foil System. So this is the Glistening Holiday Glimmer plates that are available. These are absolutely gorgeous. The details that are in these plates is absolutely magnificent. And they do get me out of my comfort zone because I don't have that die to cut out with them, but that's okay. We must overcome our fears. This would be mine. So I have my Glimmer system warming up, and I will link down to a video where I show more detail how to use the Glimmer if this is the first time that you have seen it. So one of the colors of foil that I'm going to use for this one is called Sky Bright. And right now I'm just trimming down my foils to be close to the image or the plate that I will be using. I do find that works a lot better, and you get less ghosting going around your image. So for this image here, I'm actually going to use Prism. Now the image that's up on my machine right now is actually called the Christmas Damask Jubilee. And then the other one that I had shown using the Sky Bright is called Merry Filigree, and I can't pronounce the last name. I'm just saying. It begins with a Q. So you can see this is how the first one comes out. Now there's a lot of foil that actually stuck when I pulled my foil off in between the image. I just keep a stiff brush near me, and it just whisks away nicely. And yes, it'll go all over the place. Just saying, it's like glitter. So I'm setting up my other plate. I'm going to do all of my foiling first, get that out of the way, and then I'll show you how we constructed the cards. So I have everything set up on my other glimmer. I do like to set down the plate, then the foil, then my cardstock, and all of my other plates and shims while it's heating up. The die that I'm using is from a stamp and die set called Oh Happy Day. I just really like that die because I also like that it gives me the two holes on each side. And I am loving that sky blue, or that Sky Bright, on top of that light blue cardstock. It is absolutely gorgeous. So now I'm going to do the last piece of foiling that I want to do, which is the center for the blue image, for the blue background. And what a different look you get when you use that Sky Bright either on the light blue or the white cardstock. You do get a different look. So this die here, it is a Spellbinders die. It is a frame die. I'm trying to find what this name is. I have had this die forever. But it is a set of squares with different designs on them. So I will try to find it, but I did find it in my stash. So I'm going to use that, and I die cut that twice out of some Desert Storm cardstock, which is the same of what I foiled on with the Prism. Now for this piece, I'm going to use my paper trimmer, and I'm just literally going to trim around the outside of the foiled edge. So this is kind of like a diamond shape, and that's pretty much what I'm going to cut that as. So I'm going to go around each of the sides, and then I'll come straight down at each of those openings, trying to make sure that I'm straight, which I think I did. I was pretty impressed with myself. Sometimes I just don't do that. I never do that. But I have the 'Tis the Season, and I love the fonts, sitting up on that other die cut. So I'm going to use my double-sided foam squares, mainly because I can't find my double-sided tape. And I'm going to prop this image up onto the other one that I die cut. So same image, but I'm going to get that double layer effect by using the double-sided foam. I'm then going to look, okay, do I want this to sit this way? Do I want it to sit that way? So it's just going to have this little piece coming out off the sides by using those rectangles. And I think it adds just enough detail that still the area that I foiled is still the primary focal point. My card base for this card is 5.5 by 5.5, and it is going to be a top folding card. Both of them will be 5.5 by 5.5, and both are top folding. With the openings that I have in the sentiment, I wanted to add some brads, and I just like to cover them up with some double-sided tape, and I am going to actually prop this sentiment up as well onto that panel there. I'm just snipping away part of the brad because it was sticking out. I could not get that to hide. And it was very annoying. And then once I have that propped up, I will set that down onto my foiled piece. You knew the vintage photo was coming in on this one, right? And nope, I changed my mind. White pigment ink it is. I did, and I was going to put the vintage photo. I thought with the ivory and the Desert Storm, it would have accented it really well. But I do like the white pigment ink on the Desert Storm or Craft as well. Again, I know I've said this in another video. It's around the holidays. I really love to pull out that white pigment ink and use that to shade around my pieces. So it's kind of funny. So lots of foam squares are going on here. Just really wanted to have a lot of dimension on this because simply, you're foiling and I'm having all of these layers. So that's our first card. So for our next card, I trimmed down the blue cardstock into a square, and that square actually measures 4¼ by 4¼ And then I also used a circle die to cut out the centerpiece that says, "Have yourself a merry little Christmas." I'm using two types of mirror cardstock. I'm using a silver satin and a silver mirror. The silver satin is actually cut 5 by 5, and then the mirror is actually cut 4¾ by 4¾ So I kind of have that two-tone effect with the mirrored cardstock. I'm going to prop up my circle into the center of my blue panel. I'm going to pull in that white pigment ink and go around that piece as well, again just to give it some shading. And then I'm going to use my foam squares to prop that up as well. I'll use my tape runner to attach this entire focal panel right down onto my 5.5 by 5.5 card base. I will trim off these corners just to finish that card off. So just cleaning up the area, and these are the two cards that we made today with the Glistening Holiday Collection for our Glimmer machine. I do hope you enjoyed them. It's just a little bit different, some different colors than normal for the holiday season, but you can see just using slightly different or maybe softer colors, you're still going to get that holiday feel. If you're interested in these will be listed down below in the video description, along with all of the other products that I used for today's projects. If you have any questions or comments, please make sure you leave those down below as well, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're already a subscriber, I say thank you to you always. If you haven't subscribed yet, I'd love to have you be here, part of my group. Make sure you ring the bell so you don't miss the next video, and make sure you hit the thumbs up. But always remember what's most important for me. Always be creative.